Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Carly Stevens. I am an author and a teacher, and this is English Nerd. So as I told you at the beginning of the month, I am going part-time at work this upcoming school year. I am so excited about this. I was ready for a change, and they actually allowed me to teach only 2 classes a day, and there's only one prep, and it's the class that I have taught for over 10 years. So I am just so excited. I'm going to have all this time to build up my author career in the background and be able to do all these other things. So I wanted to share with you in this video some of the ways that I have prepared to go part-time. And of course, I'll keep you updated as things go on. I'm sure I'm not going to get everything right straight out of the gate. In fact, I'm positive I won't. I know it's going to be a big learning curve. So anyway, here are some of the things that I did to prepare to go part-time. So very first thing that I did was create a ProCon list. The pros of continuing to work full-time, the things that I liked about work, the things that I didn't like about work. In fact, it was a couple pro-con lists. There was the pros and cons of staying at all in my current job versus quitting and going in a different direction. There were the pros and cons within the job, the things that I really liked and the things that I could do without. And I thought, well, if they would let me, going part-time would be kind of the best of both worlds, because I do like the actual teaching side of things. I get to teach Hamlet, I get to teach A Tale of Two Cities, some of these things that you guys know that I love if you've been around the channel. And I like the community there at the school, but there were other things that I was just ready to get away from, and I wanted to bet on myself and actually make this writing career work. I've written several books, as you can see up here. My newest, Laertes, which is a dark academia adult retelling of Hamlet from Laertes' perspective, set in the 1920s, comes out July 29th, 2022. So if you haven't pre-ordered that yet, definitely do. But I'm not making a living from the books at this point. I know that I can write now. I know that I know the publishing process, and I think that I have a lot of potential. So I decided to just go for it and do something that was risky. And I don't tend to be a very risky person. I tend to play it safe and all that. But anyway, so going back to the ways that I plan to go part-time. So pros and cons from a variety of angles, just to see if it actually made sense, if it was better. One reason that I stay at jobs for so long is that I don't necessarily feel the need for change just for the sake of change very often. Instead, I want to be moving toward something better, or something that seems like an improvement in some area or another. So, more pros than cons. Secondly, I did research into the financial side of things. Like I said, I'm not making a lot of money at all from my books at the moment. I plan to eventually, so I'll let you know how and if that happens. How and when that happens. But I needed to take an honest look at how much I would actually be making. I mean, I'm a charter school English teacher in a state that notoriously does not really pay their teachers very well anyway. So I'm not making a ton of money at my current job, even though I've worked there for a long time. I mean, it's definitely enough, but going part-time, of course, that smallish, for what I'm doing amount is going to get lower. So I needed to ask a few different people, what is that going to look like? What are benefits going to look like? Will there be any benefits if I only teach 2 classes and I'm there only, 3 hours a day or what have you? What is that adjusted income? How much do I actually need to pay all my bills? So I needed to take a good honest look at the financial situation and see if I could do this and still be responsible, and take care of an emergency if one came up, that kind of thing. And I found that I could. Now, it's going to require that eventually those scales tip, and I'm really starting to make some money in these different areas, but other than teaching. But I am a very self-motivated person, and I think that I can make that work. So financially, I had enough of a cushion that I'm like, all right, time to just crack knuckles and get going. But I did look into it, and that is something you absolutely have to do. If you're living paycheck to paycheck and you think, okay, this is a get rich quick situation, writing, it is not. For the vast majority of people, it is not a get rich quick situation. I've been publishing since 2019, so not a hugely long time, but as far as money that I've put into my writer business and the money that I've taken out, I'm still in the red. So that's something that I'm going to strive to accomplish over the next few months, ideally, is getting my business out of debt and then continuing to build on that. So just be honest with yourself. If it's not the right time, it's not the right time, and stick with your day job. I know a lot of writers stick with their day jobs even when they're doing very well, just to have that stability and that schedule and all of the, the community and all of that. Okay, so number 3, I know these are kind of loose, but I just want to be thorough and honest. So if I'm rambling a little bit, then just, I'm rambling to a friend. We're having, I don't know, some tea. And so the next thing I did was not only research into the financial side of things, but also taking inventory with myself. This is going to be highly individualized, but I thought about the summertime, for example. In June, for the last several Junes, I have written about 50,000 words, so like a NaNoWriMo. Technically it's a novel, but it's not as long as one of mine, every June. And so I was thinking, okay, what are some of my rhythms? What are some things that I will need to look after myself? So let me give you some examples instead of talking vaguely. So am I self-motivated enough to do this? All those Junes with the NaNoWriMos not in the right place told me, yes, I think that I am self-motivated enough to make this happen. I don't need external deadlines. Those are helpful to me, but I don't absolutely need them. I did all of these with just self-imposed deadlines and announcing things and then holding myself accountable to those deadlines. So I know that I can do that. The financially secure thing was in place. Do I have a plan, or is it just kind of, I'm going to be a writer? I do have a plan. I don't have a lot of future release dates nailed down or anything, because I'm going to figure out, once school starts back up again in August, exactly what this is going to look like in practice. And then I can start doing more project planning and knowing how far out to put the release dates. I do have I know what books are coming out next, but I'm not positive how long it's going to take. So I have a plan with the non-official teaching side of things. I also had to look at things like the fact that I get lonely if I'm not around other people for a long time. I'm pretty introverted, so I'm happy being alone a lot of the time, but there's a tipping point where I really am better off if I'm around other people. And so what can I do to offset things like that? So I am planning to do some work in public spaces. I'm planning to look for some meetups where it's groups of self-employed people who go to, coffee shops or whatever, and get some work done. And if there isn't something like that in my city, then I'll just start one, and that way I can also choose where I want to go. So, every week or so, just work for a few hours somewhere else so I'm around other people. So then I needed to prepare my new plan and the system for getting it done. So this is not only for writing, although I've thought a lot about how to, get better marketing in place and books out and all that kind of thing. But this also is for the tutoring that I'm planning to offer. So tutoring and consulting, I'll be doing some of that. There's limited availability, so if you're interested, then definitely head on over to my website and snag one of those spots. But I thought this is going to be a wise plan, not only because I really enjoy teaching and consulting, and just without the grading and the extra stuff, but I also thought it would be a wise idea as far as a financial bridge goes to, I know it's not going to be an overnight success with the books. I think that's going to be a slow progression at first. And so in order to supplement what I am making at my normal job, I'm going to do this tutoring and consulting as well. So I had to figure out exactly what services I would offer, what infrastructure I needed, financial, virtual, all those things. Step by step, how would I go about putting those frameworks in place in a way that was sustainable and easy to use, both for me and for the customer, whether that is somebody who wants a consultation or somebody who wants my book or what have you. And then I started writing out what a typical day or month might look like in terms of hours and balancing the multiple jobs that I have with some working out and just staying healthy and some of those things that are obviously important too. Next, now this goes back to knowing myself. It can be really hard for me to relax. I mean, I watch shows and different stuff, but very often I have this voice in the back of my head that says, "Why aren't you doing more?" It's like that hustle voice, which has pros and cons to it. And I'm glad that people have started to call out the toxic side of the hustle culture, because you do need rest. You do need a time to recharge and be healthy and fill the, as people say, fill the creative well. And not everybody works exactly the same way. But anyway, I knew that I needed fairly objective benchmarks for when I had completed a day's work. Otherwise, I would wake up and start working and just go and then feel guilty when I stopped. And I don't want that. One nice thing about a day job, even a job like teaching where you do have some work to bring home sometimes, is that you know that you've done a full day's work at a certain point, and you can excuse yourself for putting off everything until tomorrow. You just need to recharge. So you can just call it a day. And so I needed to know when to call it a day. So I set up these categories for what a day's work would look like. So it's this many words on my work in progress, or this many hours, whichever came first. And there was kind of a scale of you really ought to be doing more, to okay, pretty good, hey, fantastic. And then I even had a category for consider slowing down. And I'm planning to adjust these as time goes on, because if I get to be a faster writer, then I don't need to slow down if I'm writing 20,000 words a week. If I'm happy doing that and I'm not spending all my time on it, but I'm able to crank that out, then fabulous. That would be very exciting. But right now, that is a pace that would be pretty exhausting to me. So that is the slow down, reevaluate your life category. So I need to know when to stop. I need to be able to keep track of what I'm doing and say, yes, today has been a full day of productive work, and I can now unplug, relax, and start again tomorrow. So I needed to put that in place before I even began, because I know myself. In terms of knowing what success means, I also set up, I thought about it, and there are lots of ways to define success when you're a writer. Some people want awards, some people want a lot of money, some people want a lot of titles and fans that flock to those titles. Some people just want the freedom that kind of life can offer at a certain point. And so I thought, okay, I need to have some guiding principles. That's not quite it, because it's not like these are the like morals that I'll stick to. This is more like this is what success looks like for me. And so if something is really going against one of these, then perhaps I should adjust and make sure that these are first. So for me, success boils down to 3 things in order. One, it's am I enjoying my life? I want to enjoy my life. If I know that there are going to be unenjoyable parts of the job, but if in general my life is not very enjoyable, then I'm going to reassess. So I want to enjoy my life, number 1. Number 2 is I want super fans. It's like the best when I have fans who are absolutely obsessed with my work, who want to read everything that I've written, who write reviews and tell friends about it and do fan art. I do not have a lot of super fans right now, but I do have a couple, and they're just like life to me. And so I want to create super fans, and I want to keep those super fans really happy. That's number 2. And then number 3 is money. I really want to be making more money, but I don't need to be like 6-7 figures. I wouldn't say no to 6 or 7 figures, but if one of those other things, particularly the enjoyment of life, is severely compromised by the things I would need to do in order to reach that level, then I will be more than content to sit at, a comfortable 5 figures if I can get that going. So yeah, I figured out what success looked like in terms of a day and in terms of at least this part of my career as well. So I thought about all that, and I just started early. As soon as this idea came into my head, I started doing that research, asking for permission, and then as soon as I knew it was actually a possibility to go part-time and focus more on these other things, then I've just been planning and plotting and getting the things in place that will make this hopefully a really successful and exciting year. I mean, at best, I'm going to write a ton. I'm going to get a lot more super fans. I'm going to start selling a lot of books. I'm going to help a lot of people with the consulting and all of that. At worst, I'll know myself a lot better, and I can always change course. I could go back to teaching full-time. I'm sure that they would be happy to have me back in a full-time capacity instead of a part-time one. And, nothing, I don't think it's going to be a loss. Like, even if I lose money this year, and I don't think I will because I'll put things in place. But even if I lose money this year, I think it's going to be worth it. So if you're thinking about quitting your job or going part-time or anything like that, then those are at least some things to consider. Really take stock of not only your situation, but also the way that you work. Are you more of a morning person or a night owl? Are you more of a self-motivated or an external deadline? I mean, think about those kinds of things, not just in terms of what everybody else does, but in terms of what would legitimately work for you and your personality. So yeah, that was a bit rambly, but those are some things that I considered before I pulled the trigger on going part-time. And hopefully these are helpful things for you to consider as well if you're thinking about also taking the adventurous leap and going out into the unknown and betting on yourself the way that I am. So yeah, don't forget to pre-order Laertes. It is gonna be awesome. And let me know if there's anything that I forgot. In all my ramblings, I know that I've forgotten some things. I've done all kinds of prep and I didn't write down everything that I've done. So please put those suggestions or questions down below and I'd be happy to let you know. I'm an open book with almost everything, so just put your questions there and I'll do my best to answer them all. Okay, until later, bye.